Margaret Brennan. So, Margaret, he didn't just tweet about Jeff Sessions this morning, but he also tweeted about Andrew McCabe, the director of the FBI. Right after the Sessions tweet, he tweeted, "A problem is that the acting head of the FBI and the person in charge of Hillary investigation, Andrew McCabe, got $700,000 from H for wife." Okay, he has tweeted this sort of thing out before, but give us some insight here. What's going on? What is the president talking about, and why is he talking about it?
Well, the president clearly woke up this morning with the Russia investigation on his mind. While the White House continues to try to say they want to change the focus away from that, the president brought everyone's attention squarely back to it. The attack calling Attorney General Jeff Sessions weak this morning, the president said, was based on his failure to come up with charges against Hillary Clinton for unnamed crimes that he claims were committed here, even though the president himself said in a 60 Minutes interview that he didn't think there should be any prosecution. The president seems to be picking on AG Sessions in this public forum because of what White House officials say is his disappointment with him, specifically because Sessions chose to recuse himself from the FBI investigation into ongoing investigation, I should say, into potential collusion, potential contacts between Russia and the Trump campaign. Now, this only underscores just how worried the president seems to be about this ongoing investigation. The president also made an extraordinary charge, accusing the deputy FBI director there, who is acting head until the president's own nominee gets into place. Andrew McCabe accused him of being a corrupt, essentially. Another extraordinary charge that undercuts in many ways the very foundations and trust in our government. Now, what we believe that tweet is pointing to is not Andrew McCabe or money that he ever received from Hillary Clinton, but rather the fact that his wife ran for office as a Democrat and received funds from within her party. So these are sort of half-truths, loosely based in fact, but allegations that, while you could have on Twitter as an individual, this is now the commander-in-chief undercutting institutions and the leaders of those institutions. That's why it's so serious. That's why it's so extraordinary, and why so many people are reacting so strongly to this today. Remember, the White House just brought in a new communications director to try to help the president speak directly to the people about what they said is his agenda. Apparently, his agenda is not about the legislative proposals, but really more today about these issues that are troubling him.
Yeah, it certainly seems like it. He has since then tweeted about health care, but you're right, he certainly didn't start his day off like that at all. A bit of a Twitter storm. Meanwhile, his son-in-law and senior advisor, Jared Kushner, will testify in front of the House Intelligence Committee. He testified in front of the Senate committee yesterday. So how will today's hearing be different?
Well, White House officials and Kushner's own lawyer say that this testimony will match what he said yesterday behind closed doors to the Senate Intelligence Committee. That paper, 11-page draft of what we believe are the remarks he delivered yesterday, all outline that timeline that we have described to you, where Jared Kushner acknowledges at least 4 encounters with Russian nationals, but claims that all of this was basically innocent on his behalf, even though he was meeting with a close associate of Vladimir Putin, who is working for a bank that is under U.S. sanctions, deemed to be worthy of U.S. designation as an entity that no American should do business with. He felt it was appropriate to sit down with him, he said, because the Russian ambassador encouraged him to do so. Now, this was a very carefully vetted, carefully worded legal defense that Jared delivered for himself in front of cameras after that 2-hour testimony yesterday. But what it doesn't do is what the president claimed was accomplished. The president claimed this morning that Jared Kushner proved there was no collusion. Of course, we know that's something that FBI investigators are still trying to determine. So the book is not closed on that case. The other thing that is so unusual about this is we have rarely, if ever, heard from the president's son-in-law himself. So to hear him come out publicly on this matter speak to cameras so long after this first began troubling the president, his own father-in-law, was remarkable. This is a defense he could have delivered earlier, but clearly wasn't prepared or willing to, he said, because he likes to shy away from the spotlight. But given the amount of hefty issues that he is handling here at the White House, he is one of the president's very closest advisors. It's an interesting defense to claim I didn't know any better and that I was naive, because certainly someone in his position needs to not be naive and be making such key decisions and delivering counsel to the president himself.
Yeah, also very interesting that Jared Kushner sort of finished off that statement by bringing it back around to the election and that President Trump was legitimately elected to the election. Gives you a sense of that sort of that argument that the administration has been putting forth over and over again, that they definitely connect the suspicions about Russia with an attempt to undermine the president's legitimacy in the Oval Office. Before I let you go, though, I have to ask you one more question very quickly. There is business at hand, business going on. There's a vote on new sanctions for Russia. Just give us a brief sort of assessment of what's going on with that.
We do believe the House to vote on that sanctions bill you talked about. This would hit not just Russia, but also North Korea and Iran with some penalties here. It would also potentially tie the hands in some ways, or at least restrict what President Trump could do if he were to try to repeal some of the existing sanctions. So this is in some ways Congress trying to set a check and balance to what many Republican senators and congressmen have also acknowledged is a level of concern they have about the president's willingness to be friendly with a country deemed to be an adversary of the United States. So it's them trying to put a check on the national security concerns that they have there. But the White House is still not committing to signing onto this bill. Now, we're not there yet. It's not at the president's desk. But the White House is saying we got to really see where the final language is. They're giving themselves the flexibility to say yes or no, but no clear vow either way. What we have heard, particularly from some Republican senators, is that they would try to override any veto if President Trump tries to stop it. That means they would have enough votes to overrule the president. So this is a bill to watch seriously, because it could be an indicator of where the actual national security threat of Russia can be measured, if you want to remove the politics of whether President Trump makes this a personal issue for himself. As you said, in many ways, he takes this as questioning of his own legitimacy rather than the question of national security, which is where these sanctions are aimed.
Right. Margaret Brennan, thanks a lot.